a Malfoy's Guide to Wizarding Economics. My family did not achieve our standing by debating morality with mudbloods, like the Weasleys, looking at those pathetic blood traitors. I assure you, that is what happens when you ignore the fundamentals of accumulation and preservation. The gold standard. Now, let us examine the basis of our economy. The wizarding world maintains a sophisticated, if infuriatingly complicated system of currency: the galleon, the sickle, and the nut. The standard is gold. The galleon, that hefty, fat, shining gold coin, is the denomination we concern ourselves with. 1 galleon is worth approximately £5 in Muggle currency, though the rate naturally fluctuates. Below that, we find the sickle silver, 17 of them, amounting to 1 galleon. And finally, the wretched bronze nut. Imagine having to count 29 nuts just to make a single sickle. Counting in nuts is generally relegated to purchasing beetle eyes by the scoop. Or, if you are a Weasley, probably trying to pay a mail out. A real wizard handles gallons of galleons. The entire structure, with its complex conversion rates, is beautifully designed to keep the poor and the Muggle-born confused and inefficient. My father always said that unlike some, we can afford the best, and the best is always paid for in gold. Gringotts Bank. Gringotts, the snowy white marble monstrosity towering over Diagon Alley, is the single bank of the wizarding world. It is run by goblins. They are guardians of fabulous treasures who are notoriously prickly about their ownership. You will note the exquisite pieces lining this study, goblin-made silver. Goblins possess mastery of metalworking that wizards do not. To them, the rightful owner of an object is the maker, meaning every artifact bought and paid for is merely considered rented. This is, frankly, insolent, but they are a necessary evil for security. Gringotts vaults are the safest place for gold. They are secured with enchantments and spells. High-security vaults like those belonging to ancient families, such as mine, are located at the deepest levels, where powerful protection is needed. It is a known fact they employ dragons. When Lucius Malfoy conducts his business, he commands a certain respect, even from these grasping creatures. Ultimately, the goblins' rigid code and obsessive focus on treasure benefit us. They despise wizards, yes, but they guard the wealth that ensures Malfoy supremacy. Gold is the most cunning and loyal servant a pureblood can own. Comment below and confirm that your gold is secured in a vault deeper than the goblins' surface level nonsense. The Goblin Rebellion. The goblins, those clever little misers, harbour a great deal of resentment toward us, or wand carriers, as they snivel. History books, which I presume some of you might have read, tedious, as they document the various Goblin Rebellions of the 18th century. These weren't wars fought over grand ideals. They were disputes over coinage, and more importantly, ownership. Goblins possess a unique, infuriating belief. To them, the true master of any object is the maker, not the purchaser. This means that every piece of magnificent goblin, made silver they craft and sell, is merely rented in their eyes. They consider the passing of these treasures from wizard to wizard without further payment as outright theft. Their entire conflict with our world stems from this clash of values, leading them to rage when they are denied their due gold, or when they feel their masterful work is being stolen. It is why you see them dealing with the Department for the Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures under the Goblin Liaison Office, a pathetic attempt at control run by ministry functionaries like Cuthbert Mockridge. They are perfectly capable of dealing with wizards, being very clever creatures, but their paranoia over their treasure has been consistently exploited, a pattern of ministry mismanagement dating back to the rebellions of the 1700. Old money versus new money. The financial distinction in our world is not merely between rich and poor. It is between old money and pathetic, transient new money. My family, the Malfoys, trace our lands and influence back 10 centuries, arriving in Britain with William the Conqueror. Our wealth is substantial. We have been masters of shrewd self-preservation, maintaining our standing by currying favour, dabbling successfully in Muggle currency, and ensuring ministry influence through generous donations. We avoid the catastrophic instability of fanatics like the Gaunts, whose arrogance and pride saw their gold squandered generations ago. Contrast this stability with those we despise. The Weasleys are an old pure-blood family, yet they are pitifully poor. They rely on second-hand robes and scrape together sickles and nuts. Their only brush with significant liquid assets was winning 700 galleons in a lottery, which was instantly squandered on a holiday. And now, the Weasley twins. Those simpletons managed to scrape together enough cash largely. I might remind you, from Potter's charity winnings to open that garish joke shop, Weasley's Wizard Wheezers. Their fortune is based on rubber chickens and fake vomit. Ron even abandoned the Ministry, the supposed bastion of power, after a mere 2 years to join that ridiculous enterprise, chasing new money like a common thief. Such ventures have no roots, no prestige, and certainly no longevity. The Malfoy fortune is 10 centuries deep, so subscribe to learn how a pure blood thinks about generational wealth. The Cost of Hogwarts. While attendance at Hogwarts has not always been strictly obligatory, it is a fantasy that education is free. The fundamental cost is prestige. Naturally, Hogwarts maintains a fund for the truly destitute like that Muggle-raised Riddle Boy, so they can purchase their books and robes, even if they must be second-hand. But for anyone seeking true standing, the list of necessary supplies is only the bare minimum. Wands, cauldrons, scales, books. The true cost lies in demonstrating your wealth through high-end equipment. My father ensures we can afford the best. That means owning Nimbus 2001 brooms for the entire Slytherin team, while Gryffindors are stuck with their old clean sweep 5s. It means affording expensive new robes rather than pawning inherited filth. It means having an owl expensive and prestigious instead of a useless rat. Hogwarts may teach all the subjects from transfiguration to potions, but true standing is only learned outside the classroom, a lesson best taught by outfitting an entire Quidditch team with the finest racing brooms gold can buy. The black market economy, Borgin Burkes. Now we turn to where true influence is maintained, Knockturn Alley. This gloomy sector of the economy operates outside the Ministry's increasingly meddlesome site. Borgin Twin Burkes is the preeminent establishment for managing politically sensitive assets. It specializes in objects with powerful and unusual properties. This is where respectable pure bloods, like my father Lucius Malfoy, go to sell items, poisons, dark artifacts that might embarrass them during Ministry raids. It is a necessary clearinghouse for discretion and prudent asset management. The proprietors, like Mr. Borgin, are greasy and cowed, but knowledgeable. They recognize the value of true wealth. Unlike the Ministry, I know the importance of Borgin's services, especially for handling sensitive work, like repairing dark objects, such as that troublesome vanishing cabinet. This is where priceless heirlooms are swindled from the desperate, and where black markets flourish for items like runespore eggs, highly valuable for certain potions. When conducting business in such circles, it is crucial to employ intimidation. That Borgin looked very frightened when I merely mentioned that Fenrir Greyback was a family friend, ensures he maintains the proper level of fear and service. The black market thrives on the discretion and greed that the Ministry staffed by fools like Weasley cannot touch. Knockturn Alley real estate. If Diagon Alley represents the bright, bustling, and frankly vulgar economy of the masses, Knockturn Alley is where true influence operates. It is a dingy alleyway comprised entirely of shops dedicated to the dark arts. The most prominent establishment, Borgin Twin Burkes, serves an essential function for families like mine, discretion. My father, Lucius Malfoy, understood that in turbulent times, one must manage politically sensitive assets. He frequently used Borgin Twin Burkes to sell off items, poisons, dark artifacts that might embarrass him if the perpetually interfering Ministry were to call. Borgin, the proprietor, is a greasy, oily-haired man who looks very frightened when reminded of the consequences of talking, such as my mentioning Fenrir Greyback as a family friend. The true value of this real estate lies not in the physical shops, but in the privacy they afford for transactions involving objects with potent and unusual properties. Imagine a priceless cursed opal necklace whose label sternly warns, "Caution, do not touch." Cursed has claimed the lives of 19 Muggle owners to date. These items represent historical power and lethal capability, far more significant than the shiny new brooms sold down the street. It is the necessary clearinghouse for maintaining one's reputation while prudently managing one's dark assets. The Weasley twins business model. Now, I must turn my sneering eye towards the repulsive success of the Weasley twins, Fred and George. They are blood traitors who dabble in cheap comedy, yet their ascent represents a textbook, albeit irritating, case study in market capitalization, specifically by filling the highly lucrative gap created by a paranoid, restrictive ministry. Their pathetic joke shop, Weasley's Wizard Wheezes, is garish, hitting the eye like a firework display. Ron Weasley, that towering imbecile, confirmed they are raking in the Galleons and have a real flair for business. They secured prime real estate at number 93, Diagon Alley. How did they do it? They focused on demand and discretion. They expertly monetized the fear and boredom of the wizarding populace. Their products range from the crass, skiving snack boxes, nosebleed nougat, to the surprisingly effective and highly necessary shield hats, shield cloaks, and decoy detonators. The ministry itself, the fools who bought 500 shield hats for their staff, was ironically their best customer. Furthermore, their owl order service shrewdly bypasses security. They send out forbidden items, such as love potions, cleverly disguised as perfumes, or cough potions, to circumvent the ministry's strict post-screening, which made a mockery of private correspondence. They succeeded because, unlike many established wizards, they recognized a market and sold products that offer what the ministry cannot: effective, discreet defense, or at least a laugh. This success, though deeply vulgar, proves that gold has no lineage. Tap like if you possess more real Galleons than the entire Weasley family combined. Slughorn's collection. If gold is the hard currency of power, social capital, favors, connections, and influence is the soft currency. Nobody understands this better than Horace Slughorn, the potions master. Slughorn is motivated by comfort and the thrill of vicarious glory. He runs the Slug Club, a selective collection of students chosen not merely for their talent, but for their potential influence, their brains, ambition, or charm. He grooms these high achievers, knowing they will attain high positions. In return, Slughorn constantly reaps benefit. He receives luxurious hampers every birthday from Ambrosius Flume of Honeydukes. He is on first-name terms with the captain of the Holyhead Harpies, Gwynog Jones, guaranteeing him free tickets. Crucially, his network provides him with high-value intelligence. For example, a Muggle-born former student, Dirk Cresswell, now head of the Goblin Liaison Office, provides him with excellent inside information on political goings-on. Slughorn, though cowardly and vain, proves that managing a network of future VIPs is an incredibly valuable form of asset management, ensuring he perpetually enjoys the finest of things without ever having to risk taking the throne himself. Inheritance laws. The preservation of family wealth and influence across generations relies heavily on stringent inheritance laws and deeply entrenched pure blood prejudices. My family, the Malfoys, trace our lineage back 10 centuries and have maintained our status by successfully managing our line and avoiding the instability seen in fanatical, inbred families like the Gaunts. Ancient pure blood families often protect their estates and assets using powerful magical safeguards. For instance, the Black family estate was so magically bound to the family line that upon Sirius Black's death, there was considerable doubt a half-blood like Pottah could truly inherit the property over the claims of the remaining pure bloods. My own pure blood status is well secured, unlike the Potters, whose family was excluded from the prestigious Sacred 28 list because its author considered their common surname an indication of tainted blood. This is how it should be. The fate of family assets, whether gold, land, or even house elves bound to the bloodline, is determined by these pure blood systems. the Ministry budget. One of the greatest ongoing financial blunders of the Ministry of Magic is the obsessive resource-sucking mandate to conceal our world from Muggles, mandated by the International Statute of Secrecy. This responsibility generates countless needless expenditures. Arthur Weasley epitomizes this waste. He started his career in the tedious misuse of Muggle artifacts office, dealing with bewitched Muggle items before graduating to the office for the detection and confiscation of counterfeit defensive spells. His focus is on Muggle protection, stemming from ridiculous rumors of an act proposed by him. Consider the sheer cost of this paranoia. For security, the Ministry dedicated a team of 500 wizards for an entire year to anti-Muggle precautions, just to conceal the Quidditch World Cup. For concealment, they are burdened with the mandatory care and control of every magical beast in the territory. And for political cover-ups, highly trained auras like Kingsley Shacklebolt are wasted on protection duty for the Muggle Prime Minister, while the Committee on Experimental Charms invents non-magical explanations for disasters like the Brockdale Bridge incident. This is where your tax galleons are vanishing not on truly necessary magical control, but on ensuring the ignorant Muggle population remains blissfully unaware of our superiority. Creature labour, the economy, particularly for old wealthy families like mine, is massively subsidised by the efficient, constant flow of unpaid house elf labour. House elves are fundamentally slaves. They are bound to a single house and family forever. At Hogwarts alone, over 100 house elves who receive no wages, holidays, or sick leave are responsible for changing the sheets, lighting the fires, cleaning the classrooms, and preparing all the feasts. This means that the Hogwarts operating costs, aside from supplying the bare minimum necessities for education, are artificially low. The concept of a paid elf, as demonstrated by the ludicrous creature Dobby, is generally rejected by wizards. When Dobby, after being freed, sought employment, he was desperate to find work, because most wizards don't want a house elf who wants paying. Dumbledore offered Dobby 10 galleons a week and weekends off, a generous offer. But Dobby, recognizing the inherent societal bias, insisted on beating Dumbledore down to a mere galleon a week and 1 day off a month. The other Hogwarts house elves even considered the idea of pay and freedom insulting, preferring their masters to be served. This system ensures that the true cost of maintaining opulent wizarding lifestyles remains profoundly suppressed. The economics of potion ingredients. The market for high-grade potion components demonstrates the intersection of rarity, danger, and strict ministry regulation. The Department for the Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures uses a classification system to manage trade, ensuring the most valuable materials inevitably come from the most dangerous creatures. For instance, Acromantula venom is so prized, it is known to fetch 100 galleons a pint, and its eggs are designated class are non-tradable goods. Similarly, eggs from the three-headed rune spore are of immense value for potions that stimulate mental agility, leading to a flourishing black market. Even highly protected creatures, like unicorns, produce valuable material. A single unicorn hair can fetch 10 galleons. Other items, like the horns, tails, and exploding fluid from erumpents, are categorized as Class B tradable materials, subject to strict control. These strict controls ensure that only resourceful or well-connected wizards can procure the exotic components needed for complex potions, like the bicorn horn and boomslang skin required for Polyjuice potion. The high prices reflect the danger and legality of dealing with fantastic beasts, securing our continued superiority through rare materials. Magical patents versus student inventions. The creation of new spells and magical instruments should be a solemn, controlled business, a pursuit of prestige, not profit. Yet, the ministry's antiquated system allows for chaos, which benefits lesser talents. Consider the notion of ownership in invention. True genius, like that exhibited by Albus Dumbledore, produces unique and rare items, such as the Deluminator. Even in the distant past, my kind understood proprietary rights Limfrid of Stinchcombe, the originator of potions like Skelligro, laid the foundation for the Potter family's fortune through the sale of his cures. However, the proliferation of vulgarity is rampant. Those Weasley twins, the capitalist simpletons, sell patented daydream charms, which is at least an original, if pathetic, idea. The truly brazen theft comes from others. The Mudblood Granger, for instance, created those enchanted communication coins for Potter's army, a clever piece of magic, I admit, which I then adapted for my own purposes, proving that one must always be observant to exploit the weaknesses in Hogwarts' pathetic security. The fact that these lowlives can get away with their schemes and illicit Owl Order services demonstrates a profound flaw in the Ministry's ability to regulate anything of consequence. Innovation should be governed by status, not mere cleverness. The Triwizard Winnings. Let us discuss the absurdity of public recognition versus actual value, the Triwizard Tournament. For risking your life in 3 difficult and dangerous tasks, facing dragons and other mortal threats, the prize is the glory of your school and 1,000 galleons, personal prize money. 1,000 galleons. That paltry sum is supposed to compensate a student for putting their neck on the line, especially when death was historically a frequent outcome. To put this in perspective, my family's inherited fortune is substantial. I recall Professor Slughorn mentioning that a single strand of unicorn hair was worth approximately 10 galleons. 1,000 galleons is therefore the price of only a fraction of a magical beast. The Weasley twins had the audacity to bet 37 galleons, 15 sickles, 3 nuts on a Quidditch match. Yet, this supposed hero, sum of 1,000 galleons, is barely enough to fund the start of the joke shop run by the Weasleys. The champions were required to compete under a binding magical contract. Yet the reward is a pittance. The fanfare driven by buffoons like Ludo Bagman and the danger far outweigh the actual monetary prize. Philanthropy for influence. True, old wealth is never simply held in vaults. It must be leveraged. My father, Lucius Malfoy, is an expert in the soft currency of influence. The Malfoy family has always preferred the role of power behind the throne, providing generous contributions to the ministry and associated organizations for years. My father's philanthropy is a carefully calculated investment. He provides generous donations to places like St. Mungo's Hospital for magical maladies and injuries. This generosity gets him in with the right people, allowing him to command respect, even in the ministry, and secures his ability to delay laws he doesn't want passed. It is rumored that my ancestor, Arcturus Black, received his Order of Merlin, first class, by loaning the ministry a massive amount of gold. My father simply continues this tradition. He once sat on the Hogwarts Board of Governors and used his authority to have Dumbledore himself suspended, simply by intimidating the other 11 members. This is the true application of wealth to cultivate connections, ensuring that when the ministry calls, it is not to investigate you, but to listen to your opinions. The folly of Muggle money. The currency of the wizarding world, the galleon, sickle, and nut, is based on solid metals, gold, silver, and bronze. This is a stable, visible, and enduring system. The currency of Muggles, however, is pathetic little bits of paper. The entire process of handling Muggle money is so primitive that ministry officials like Arthur Weasley are famously incompetent. With the stuff, it is well known that men like him can barely tell one slip of paper from another. Furthermore, you cannot use our robust galleons in Muggle shops, proving their world is inherently inferior. Gringotts, run by the prickly goblins, handles the despicable business of currency conversion, and they are cunning enough to manage Muggle money, acting like fences to return it to circulation after being exchanged. However, for true wizards, this is simply a necessary evil. My family, being shrewd, dabbles successfully in Muggle currency, but we certainly do not carry it. Our ancestral wealth, built over 10 consecutive centuries, ensures that our transactions of worth are conducted only in gold, maintaining a distance from the transient, filthy paper of the non-magical world. It is a matter of pure blood superiority. Post-war economy. The true cost of war is rarely tallied in sickles or nuts, it is tallied in political survival. After the chaos, houses like Hogwarts must be rebuilt. While magic is remarkably cheap for physical restoration, a few skilled wizards can fly furniture back into place or repair a shattered grandfather clock. Instantly, the real expense lies in reputation and reparations. My father, Lucius Malfoy, faced a second sentence in Azkaban for his failures, placing our family under extreme pressure. However, he avoided this fate because he utilized a powerful, non-monetary asset information. He evaded further punishment by providing evidence against his fellow Death Eaters. That is true. Financial savvy trading, worthless loyalty for priceless freedom. The rebuilding effort also serves as a political distraction. Hogwarts itself suffered major damage, particularly during the final battle. The Room of Requirement, for instance, was obliterated. This catastrophe requires a huge effort of organization and spin, demanding that the ministry led by fools who waste tax galleons, protecting Muggles Section 12, previous response, devote resources to reconstruction instead of actual governance. The only true reparation a Malfoy offers is their continued presence and the subtle maintenance of the pure blood system. The danger of inflation, the structural stability of our economy, as founded upon the gold galleon, must be rigorously guarded. Yet, the wizarding world is rife with opportunities for instability, particularly through magical means of counterfeiting or accidental discovery. Enter the Niffler. This fluffy, long-snouted black beast has an inherent destructive predilection for anything glittering. Goblins frequently keep Nifflers to burrow deep underground for genuine treasure. However, a misplaced Niffler can be hugely detrimental to ordinary belongings. More crucially, if one were to get loose near a source of leprechaun gold, that charming little substance produced by the pranking little beasts, they might inadvertently bring worthless coinage into circulation. That particular form of easy money is deceptive. Leprechaun gold is cursed, guaranteed to vanish after only a few hours. We saw this demonstrated when that pathetic fraud, Ludo Bagman, was in deep trouble with the goblins after relying on this vanishing gold to pay his debt. Financial crisis often begins when the distinction between real gold galleons and worthless glitter, leprechaun gold, is blurred, causing panic among those who mistakenly believe they hold wealth. Remember this: power is not measured by the strength of your magic, but by the weight of your galleons. And while Muggles trade in ephemeral paper, we deal in gold. Never forget which holds the true, enduring value. The economy is simply another battlefield, and the Malfoys have already won. We bought the referee, stacked the deck, and forged the coin. You are dismissed. True fortune is political survival, not counting nuts. So return to a Malfoy's Guide to the Forgotten Death Eaters to understand real influence.